Good luck.
Hey, I finally figured it out. I called my buddy who is a YouTube expert, and I was like, hey, I don't think I know how to go live on YouTube. And he was like, you really, really don't. And I was like, I really don't. This is brand new for me. So I'm going to answer as many questions as I can. Sorry for the delay. I'm going to just jump right in. As you know, I'm trying to do way more on YouTube because I feel like it's finally time to join the year 2004 for me. So I'm excited. I've given the rest of the world like a 22-year head start. So I'm going to jump in fully on YouTube and create a bunch of videos, create a bunch of content, have long hair until barbershops aren't illegal. But until the meantime, this is just, it's only going to get bigger. Like it's only going to go to the side more. So I'm going to jump in. All right, Benjamin Rupp, what are some ways for those of us who have had more work in this time to recharge and get excited about goals again, now that they all seem dull, lost, and not fun? Here's what I'd say, Benjamin. I think you should consider this period of time the new January. If you looked at this and said, okay, this is the new January, I think it does a couple things for you. One, it reminds you that it's okay to have different goals than I had in last January. Like last January, when you planned things, you had no idea how the world was going to be shaped. Like imagine if one of your goals, dude, was I want to travel more. I'm going to travel more. I want to see the world. Like I had a trip with my wife planned to go to Italy. That did not happen. We had a trip to see our oldest daughter play in the high school band in Disney. Like they were going to march in a parade. That did not happen. If I held myself to those same goals, I just failed 2 goals in a very unfortunate way. So what I would say to you, Benjamin, is take the goals that you had, take the ones that make sense and move them forward, but also consider this new January. Like declare that April, May, whatever month you want to say it, is new January and go, okay, given the amount of time I have for the rest of the year, given how the world is shaped, I'm going to create some new goals that make a lot more sense. All right. Hi, John. Thanks for putting this on. I'd love to know what's your process for capturing ideas, thinking on them and fleshing them out. How do you cut okay ideas and filter for great ones? Okay, so I'm going to share. Do you see the wall? That is my wall. Each one of those are huge pieces of paper. I'm going to just grab this. I get this gigantic Post-it note. This is Post-it note. It's huge. And I capture a ton of ideas on here and I throw them up on the wall. I'm the kind of creative that I need to see ideas. I need to see them and be exposed to them. I'm going to show you. I'm sure there's like a way to flip this camera around. But like, look. Do you see all those ideas? They're all written. Look at me and Dolly Parton. That's a picture of me and Dolly Parton. Oh, that was when we became best friends. But I'm posting ideas constantly. So I do a couple things. One, I capture them in notebooks. I have a series of notebooks. This is where I write at least 5 ideas a day. So I title the page like with the date, and then I write 5 ideas. In this journal, anything goes. The big thing with capturing ideas is you have to be really forgiving on the upfront and then kind of winnow them down. So at the beginning, I'm going for quantity, not quality. I'm capturing. I'm not judging. Never judge an idea as too dumb to even write down. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes you can make. I think we've lost cures for diseases. I think we've lost technologies. I think we've lost amazing books, amazing albums, amazing works of art because somebody on the upfront said, nah, that's too dumb. I don't need to think through that. So I capture a bunch of ideas in a series of notebooks, and then I eventually work them into better ideas. I shape them. I think about my head like a rock tumbler. I'm writing ideas, capturing them. And then as they progress, I'm sharing them on YouTube. I'm sharing them online. And I'm kind of honing them until eventually they make it in their final form, which is a book. Like this is where a book and a speech for me are where the idea is kind of gone through the entire process. All right, Kristen, what is the process to get a book published by a traditional publisher? That's a great question. I actually did a Zoom call today. My dad said, hey, I've got some friends that are publishing a book. Will you give them some advice? And I said, certainly, because I love my dad. Like we've got a fun relationship. And so I talked to him today about this. And here's the process. The first step is you have to find a literary agent. So you have to find somebody who's going to represent you to the publisher. Most publishers won't accept unsolicited manuscripts, which means you can't just mail off your book to a publisher and go like, hey, I wrote this book. What do you think? So the first step is finding an agent. So the best way to do that, in my opinion, there's a couple ways. One, find other authors that are your size. So I wouldn't email Simon Sinek and be like, hey, who's your agent? Because Simon Sinek is like, ooh, at a different level than me. But I would find other authors that are my size and say, hey, is there an agent you like? Or you go to the writer's market. The writer's market is kind of an encyclopedia of the best agents, the best publishers, best advice. And so I would go to barnesandnoble.com or Amazon and order the latest copy of the writer's market and find an agent. Once you find an agent, then you can start the process of trying to find a publisher for a traditional publishing route. That's usually how the process goes, and it's worth it. Agent's going to take 15 to 20% of the money you make, but it's 100% worth it because they have relationships you don't have access to, and they're going to steer you through the process in a really great way. All right. How do you craft the get up? How far in advance do you plan? Bill Davis. Bill, I love that question, and I wish it was like really far out. I capture a bunch of ideas in here and think, okay, will this be helpful? And then the process is in the morning, I get a coffee. My friend Brian Koppelman calls it the Royale, which is the first coffee of the morning. And then I think, and then I go take a shower. And in the shower, I kind of think through what I want to say. And then I write out a draft of it. So I spend some time and I write it all out. And then I do it on Instagram Live and I kind of think through it. And then I do it on Facebook and I think through it again. And by the time I do it on YouTube, I've done 2 or 3 versions of it, and then I film it in that corner. See the ring light? See more ideas up on the wall, and then that's kind of the process. But I don't plan like, here's what I'm going to do 3 weeks from now. I wish I did, I guess, but I'm really just not that. That's not how my personality works. All right, Karen, where did you grow up? I grew up in Massachusetts. So I was born in Durham, North Carolina at a hospital that's no longer a hospital, that doesn't give me a ton of confidence for the quality of healthcare I received, but it's now a high school. And born in North Carolina, we moved to Massachusetts when I was in the 1st grade so that my dad could go to seminary and plant a church up in New England. And so I grew up in New England from 1st grade to college. And then I went to college in Birmingham, Alabama, which kind of removed my Yankee accent. But if I go to Massachusetts for like 10 minutes, if I'm with my northern friends, if I'm with my townie friends for 10 minutes, my accent comes right back and I'm so hardcore Yankee. How is being, Tia, all right, Tia, how has being so tall helped build your new YouTube presence? I don't know if it has yet. I'm trying to get over 5K. I've been telling people I'm a pre-5K right now, which is pre-5,000 subscribers. And I really don't I feel like if anything, people don't subscribe because they're intimidated by the height. I will tell you this. I did a video series for a client once and I joked about how tall I am because I just thought like people can tell, like if you look at my limb structure, I'm clearly not 9 feet tall. And I joked about it in the video and we did a focus group for people to watch the video series. And people said in the comments, he sure did brag about his height a lot. And they thought I was serious. And I thought, oh, these poor people just sat through this huge video and think I was serious about how tall I am. That's unfortunate. That really is. Randy, thanks for all you're doing. Appreciate the value, encouragement, and being practical. Thank you for watching, Randy. This is a brand new medium for me, and I'm just figuring it out. So I'm encouraging other people right now, like we're all amateurs. Let me just remind you, in the middle of pandemic, all of us are amateurs. We're all learning. We're all figuring it out. And it's a great time for you to learn something new. So don't be afraid to be an amateur. Dean R., when you are pushing on your goals, how do you not impose the same expectations on others, like your family? I often have to resist myself from pushing too much on those around me. So Dean R., I would call that like the jerk factor. My wife and kids and I were talking about this just the other night. I said, I feel like I either have 2 speeds. I'm super casual and I don't care about anything, or I overcare and I'm really uptight and I'm super focused and I become a jerk. And my youngest daughter said, yeah, you're either OCD or no CD. So I'm either like, I don't care, or I'm hyper focused. And so for me, I have to be really deliberate. I have to do temperature checks. Sometimes it's practical things. I have to end the day. Like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to end at 7:35 and do a 30-minute window because I was 5 minutes late, because I know I'll just keep going. I love to work and I'll go, 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 go. I tend to get a little compulsive. I'll give you an example of that. I can't grab it right now or get out of the frame. I did a gratitude journal once because everybody's like, you got to have a gratitude journal. Like, gratitude will change. It's like, gratitude is like the emotional version of water. People are like, if you drink more water, you get taller and you can see in the dark better. And so I was like, I got to do a gratitude journal. So I was like, I'm going to write down 5 things a day that I'm thankful for. And then I was like, you know what? If 5 is good, 10 would be twice as good. And I just kept writing. I wrote down like 2,000 things in 2 months on gratitude, and I lost all the joy of it. Like, I was no longer in gratitude zone. I was in like, and then another thing, like, it got very beautiful mind. So for me, I have to be careful that I don't go too close to that line of like, I've lost the initial intent and it's no longer fun and it's no longer purposeful. All right. Christina, can you talk more about the best ways your wife supports you in your career? Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of practical ways. So here's Jenny got her undergrad in photojournalism and her master's in construction management. So she majored in college in photojournalism and then got her master's in construction management. 2 very different things. Got a full ride to Georgia Tech. She's brilliant. She's a Renaissance woman. When we had kids, she said, I want to stay home with the kids. So that's the trajectory we've been on for the last 16 years. So there's a million ways she supports me. One very practical way is that she's part of every book I write. She reads through every book I write. If it's a big project, she's checking it out. And she'll ask me the question, do you want compliments or feedback? She'll say, do you want compliments or feedback? And to tell you the truth, there's some times where I have to be like, I just want compliments. I just want you to tell me like, it's great. Like, this is so good. But as we get closer to the final product, I need her to give me feedback because she knows my project. She knows my voice. She knows when I'm being dishonest. Like, she'll say to me, you're playing the role of like a professional person, but that's not really who you are in this situation. You need to be funnier. Like, where's the humor? And she'll call me on some things that I need to be called on. And you need somebody who's known you for a long time to go, I don't think that's you. Like, I don't think that's you being honest. So that's a big part of what she helps me do. And I would love to say that when she tells me hard things like that, my first response is like, thank you for the feedback. That was like an emotional vitamin. I received that. That is not the case. A lot of times my first response is to have a tantrum and to be a big baby about it. And then to come back like a couple of hours later and be like, I think you were right. Like, you were right. So that's a big part of how Jenny helps me. Let's see. Leanne, thank you for this. Let's see what you said. Let me scroll down. I lost it. There's a lot of great comments. I love it. Leanne, okay, how do you recommend someone to etch out a niche when it seems like more experienced people are already speaking on very similar topics? Ooh, Leanne, I'm actually going to draw this one, and I'm going to turn this into its own video because this is one of kind of my key points about life. Like, if you are starting a business, if you're writing a book, if you want to be a speaker, like, this is going to be the moment where you're like, oh, I get that. So I'm going to draw it with a Sharpie in my notebook. So there's 3 circles. If you want to figure out what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to build, there's 3 circles. The first one, let's call it passion. First circle, I want you to draw along. Passion. You can see I'm drawing. I'm constantly drawing. You need to find something you're super passionate about. So for me, I think about writing a book as, what's a question that I can't stop thinking about? What's something I'm obsessed about? What's something that I'm willing to talk about for years? And I'll audition like 50. The second circle is need. Okay. When I talk to people, when I interact with friends, family, coworkers, whatever, online, what do people need? Where's there a need that's not being met? People are raising their hand going, hey, I don't understand this. What can I do? The third circle is market. And you go, is this being met? Like in the market right now, is it being met? This is the three circles I think about. And I'm aiming for that overlap right in the middle. You can see I drew that in. Now, here's what happens. Let's say that you find a need. Nobody's meeting it. No, like everybody has this need. Everybody has this need, and you're passionate about it, but you're missing the market. Like the market already has it. Like it's saturated. You know what you have? You had cake pops. I'd say that's a terrible goal. Like once it's in Starbucks, we already got it, dude. You're like 10 years too late. Let's say you figure out a need, like people need this thing, and you look in the market. Or, you know, like, let's start with passion. You have a tremendous passion. Nobody's serving it in the market, but nobody needs it. You know what you have there? You have a hobby. Like if you said to me, John, I am infatuated with albino ferrets. Like I want to do like a rescue, like habit trail system for albino ferrets, and nobody's doing it in the market, but nobody actually needs that. That's a hobby. Have a hobby. Have 1,000 hobbies. But if you're going to build a business, you can't do that. And if you have a need, you look in the market and go, nobody's serving this and people actually need it, but I'm not passionate. Do you know what you get? You get a day job. You might make money, might be successful, but you're not going to have your heart connected to it. That's how I wrote the book Finish. So this book Finish, I realized, wow, I'm tired of not finishing things. I'm tired of having 1 million half-started notebooks on my wall. I'm tired of having a bike that I never rode in my garage. I'm tired of not finishing. And then people came up to me and said, hey, how do you finish? I read Start, but how do you actually finish? Like Start helps me start. How do I finish? And then I went on Amazon and I looked up the word finish, and you know what came up first? First 50 responses were dishwasher detergent. And I realized I've got the three things. And so that's how, like, if you're going to write a book, if you're going to start a business, if you're going to do anything, those are the three circles I look for. Okay. Let's see. Let's go through these questions. These are great questions, by the way. All right. Andy, how can someone become disciplined? I think you figure it out according to what works for you. And you have to define what disciplined is. You have to make sure discipline doesn't mean perfect. Discipline can just mean a little bit better, a little bit more structured. I showed you some of the walls in my office. That's part of me becoming disciplined. Like I need to see things over and over and over. Okay, I'm going to take down a note. This is a note that I've been looking at. I've been looking at this note for 6 months. And you can't see it because it's backwards, but it says specific is sexy. This is to help me be more disciplined in what I write. What does it mean? Specific is sexy. It means that if I'll do the hard work of looking up a specific fact, of adding details versus saying, everybody believes that blank. Everybody believes things. That's not sexy. What's sexy is if I say, actually, according to Nielsen, who is the number one, TV ratings company, the average American watches 4.2 hours of TV a week, which is almost a full-time work week every week of television. That's sexy. Specific is sexy. So one way I've become more disciplined is I figure out what I need to remember, and then I write notes for it and remember, okay, I'm going to keep that up there. I'm going to remember, okay, specific is sexy, and that's helpful. All right. Yeah, everybody's judging my bookshelf and my hair. The hair is crazy. Yeah, but David Mike, who's on here, he actually cuts hair for a living. How long does it take you to write a book, specifically from the time you have signed a deal with the publisher? I would say the process takes me 2 years. It's a 2-year process. It starts with a question I can't ignore, and then I collect a ton of ideas, like tons and tons and tons of ideas, and then I look for patterns. I start to kind of look at the ideas, put them on note cards, throw them up on the wall. I look for patterns, and then I write a bunch of terrible drafts, and then I edit like a maniac. But I would say from start to finish, it takes me about 2 years. I know people are like, you can write a book in a week. It's true. You can write a book in a week. It's just going to be a terrible book. Like you can write a garbage book quickly. You can. I don't personally believe you can write an amazing book quickly. That's my opinion. All right, Joseph, any practical similarities to book writing for curriculum writing? So with curriculum, I think the big thing with curriculum is that, you know how, like, take a beach read, for instance. In a beach read, you expect there to be a climax at the end of every chapter. If you got a beach read, like you're remember airports when we used to go to there? You were at the airport and you bought a beach read and you went and you started to read it and you realized, wow, nothing's happened for the first 10 chapters. You would be disappointed because your expectation is that at the end of every chapter, like Stone Smith or Ryan Johnson, like somebody dramatic should do something dramatic. This was disappointing. It's the same with curriculum. When it comes to curriculum, you have to say, what's the expectation? The expectation is I learned something in every chunk. So I think a big difference there is you go, there's less room for narrative. It's more about write these answers, fill in these blanks, but it's still a story. It still has an arc. Those are the similarities to me. All right. Aaron, how do you remain confident, persistent when writing, publishing, when you know you're surrounded by other writers, giants in a similar space? I too often quit before I start because of that. So Aaron, I don't have this idea formulated yet. I think about my head like a rock tumbler. Like if you've ever purchased a rock tumbler for your kid, it's that thing where it like tumbles rocks until they're smooth. It takes like 9 months for you to get one rock. Like it's a huge, never give your kid a rock tumbler for Christmas because that's like giving them a gift they'll enjoy 9 months from now. But I think about my head that way. And I've got this idea in there about how do you persist? I think the hardest part of something new is you have to push back and push through the times when it doesn't work well. Like my wife said to me, she said, I don't think you're going to commit to YouTube because I don't know if you have the humility to push through where it's not going to work. And what she means by that is like, I'm trying my best. Like I'm going to do the best get up videos I can do. I'm going to work my hardest and they're going to get 150 views. And that's demoralizing when like you have 300,000 Twitter followers. So I tell 300,000 people multiple times, hey, come watch this video. Like I made this video that I think is going to be helpful to you. And it gets 150 views. Like, I don't care who you are. Like I don't even know the math of that. Like if you swung a baseball bat 300,000 times and you hit the ball 150, wow. So I think a big part of like getting over it is pushing through that. One, expecting it to happen, and two, committing that it doesn't matter. Like I'm going to keep making videos. I'm going to keep serving people. I'm going to keep asking questions. I'm going to keep doing lives. Like I'm going to push beyond, regardless of how long it takes, that period where I feel like there's no progress, there's no progress, there's no progress. Like it feels like a cliche, but I think you have to trust the process and move beyond like the initial progress. Like if the initial progress isn't there, you still have to trust the process and go, I'm going to do another video, another video, another video. I'm going to write another book. I'm going to write another book. Let's see. Coulter, you're working from home for 7 years now. What has changed the most for you in the last month? Okay, Coulter, I'm going to give you a real thing that happened today. I realized today I have to, this is so silly. I'm going to do a get up. This might be tomorrow's get up. We'll see. I have to tell my family, here's the times I'm on a Zoom call because we don't have like bottomless Wi-Fi signal. So like today I had a video that was not working. Like I was doing an interview with somebody and it was somebody I really like. It was an Instagram live and it was like sticking and it was like unstable connection. I was like, whoa. And I went down and I realized after part of the reason was my daughter was doing an online, like she was Zooming with a friend to do an exercise class. And I was like, oh, that like other people are in the house using. So there's a work from home thing. I think a genius move is to come up with as an adult, hey, here's the 3 Zoom calls I have today. Nobody jump on the Wi-Fi during that time because it's going to crush it. And I need to go like do the thing where I earn the money so that we can afford Wi-Fi. That's one way it's changed. Let's see. Randy Mahoney, what's one piece of advice would you give the younger version of yourself? What's the hardest part of working from home and having a family? I just talked about the hardest part. To me, it's like shared Wi-Fi. Piece of advice. I always tell people, one, when somebody goes, what would you tell your 20-year-old you? I'm like, that dude would not listen. Like let's be honest. The 20-year-old me wasn't like, I'm just here to humbly learn from other people. Like we forget what it was like to be 20. Like you're so smart at 20. Like you're so smart at 20. But what I guess I would say is I would try to reach out to mentors more. I think we don't do a good job of reaching out to mentors and learning from people who have already been there. Here's how I just say it. A mentor is a time machine. You have access to time machines. They're called adults. They're called people who have been 10 years, 20 years ahead of you. And they'll tell you what matters if you'll ask them. So I love to say to somebody, you're 20 years ahead of me in your career. What would you do differently? And then they go, well, you know what? When I was your age, when I was 44, I thought these 10 things mattered. It's really at least 2. So I would change that. And here's what to do. So I would say to my 20-year-old me, ask an adult for better advice. Let's see. Oh, Jody Chandler, I love the power pants. Can you speak more to the secrets of how to work from home? That's a great question. I mentioned Zoom. I think you have to remember when you work from home, it's a team sport. Working from home is a team sport. Your whole house is in on it. So there's a couple things that means. One, it means share your Zoom schedule. Be upfront with your family. In the morning, say, hey, I got 2 meetings that I need as quiet as possible as can be. So could you not vacuum? Could you not do a leaf blower? Could you not try to punch your brother in the face at 3 p.m. today? That would be super helpful. So that's one of them. You're all in this together. The second thing is be really smart if you're married about not trying to make your spouse your coworker. Your spouse wants to be your spouse, not your coworker. Your spouse wants to be your spouse. They don't want for you all of a sudden to be like, hey, let's talk about business 24 hours a day. That's not what they signed up for. They signed up to be your spouse. So be really careful about maintaining a healthy marriage and separating some of that business stuff. Because if you're not careful, that's all you end up talking about. That's what all you end up talking about looks like, that hand motion. Which book did you most enjoy writing? What inspired you to write it, Jason? I would say the last one. This last book I wrote, it's about overthinking. And I can't wait for you guys. I just saw the covers the other day and what? Dude, the covers are ridiculous. And the subtitle and the title. And so the reason I liked this last one was because I told myself, I'm going to show you another note. I told myself at the beginning of this process, you see these words, light and easy. Every book I've written has been super difficult because I went in with that soundtrack. Writers, they do this all the time. Writers go, writing is easy. You just have to cut open a vein and bleed out. What? Dude, what a terrible thing to start your writing process with. And so I decided at the beginning of this process is going to be light and easy. I'm going to use that soundtrack to make this process light and easy. And that's what this book felt like. And I feel like it's the best book I've ever written. It's the best researched. There's so many real people in it. It's really, really funny and really, really ridiculous. And I can't wait for that one to come out. Okay, Ken Duncan. We'll do a couple more questions, then I'll get off. You don't want to fragment yourself if you're on too many social media outlets for business. What would be your top 3? Ken, it really depends on where your business is. Here's what I'd say. Go where your people are. If you told me, John, I got a career book. I wrote a career book. It's called Do Over. Look at me on the cover. Not the same shirt, but similar. I would tell you, go get on LinkedIn. If you told me I got a career book, I would say, go get on LinkedIn. If you told me I got a career book, I wouldn't go, you got to be on TikTok. You got to be on TikTok. I don't know. Maybe none of your audience is there. So my advice there is follow your audience. Go serve people where they actually located. All right. Any tips for writers just starting off? Yeah, write a lot. Be super forgiving. Read great writers. And set a time goal, not a word goal. I find time goals are easier. I'm going to write 30 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day. Let's see. I'm scrolling through, see if there's any other questions I missed that I thought was fantastic. This is really fun. And we're going to do more of it. Again, this is my first foray into YouTube. So it's been an absolute blast. Okay, last one. Tina, I really appreciated your affirmations that you shared with the goals group. September, January was the name of it. Do you still do this daily? And what do you tell yourself? I have switched to, I'll switch it around. There's got to be a smarter way to do this. You see all those? Those are all and my picture of Dolly. Those are so this one right here says, fear is an invitation to bravery. Fear is an invitation to bravery. This says, make them laugh. Make them laugh. So I need the affirmation and the reminder of sometimes I get into serious author mode. I need to be reminded nah. I love to make people laugh. And that has value. I think we have the hardest time recognizing our own value. I think that we denigrate and dissect and criticize our own goals. And so I need a reminder on my wall that says, make them laugh. Like, make them laugh. It has value. It's worth it. And people appreciate it. And they really, really need it. And it's fun. And I'm good at it. Like, I've worked really hard at it. So those are the affirmations I do. Guys, this was awesome. I really appreciate you doing this. Yeah, YouTube is challenging to me. I love it, though. I'm going to figure it out. I've got a great friend named Chris who's helping me with it. So it's not like I'm out in the wild by myself. But I love that I'm figuring this out, and I'm kind of like clunking along, and I'm going to get to 5,000 subscribers. Like Jon Acuff, 5K. So I'm going to keep doing it. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your night. And there'll be another Get Up in the Morning. And it might be about one of the topics we talked about tonight. So thanks, guys.